What I always try to do with pain management, I treat it like I kind of imagine a surfing wave, where a surfer has to be right on the sweet spot of the wave. If the surfer's too far ahead, the wave is going to come crashing down on him. So if I use medication too soon, it's not going to be totally effective because the pain's still going to come crashing down on me later. And if the surfer is behind the wave, they won't get the full benefits of it. And same with if I use the pain medication too late, then it's not going to have its full positive effect. So I try to treat pain management as like I'm riding a wave. I'm always trying to find where's the right place to use it, when's the right time and when's the right pain level. Because I'm always in pain, and my purpose in using pain medication isn't to eliminate the pain, it's to alleviate or reduce the pain. Over the years, I've had this physical burning in the lower half of my body ever since my injury. And with that burning, I can actually feel right down as we speak, my whole legs, my bum, right down to the tips of my toes. I can feel this burning, but it's all internal, and it's all being generated by neurons misfiring in some fashion in my brain. And the burning has been acute for most of those years. And I initially tried to deal with the burning, and particularly burning, by putting a wall up at my waist, blocking that whole part of my body, my whole lower body, as if it didn't exist. And I also used Valium. Right after my injury, I had all kinds of crazy body sensations going on, and one of them was huge knots in the back, in my sort of back shoulder, enormous knots that could only be broken up by one of the male helpers putting both of his thumbs down on that knot and pushing as hard as he could and dispersing it, which of course was agony in itself doing that. So I asked for some relief from that, and they gave me this 20 milligrams of Valium with one big whack, and that did relieve it for a number of hours, but it always came back. And very quickly I got dependent on that medication being there. A bit later on, I broke the Valium up into 4 times a day, 5 milligrams each, which helped relieve the pain a little bit, dispersed it out. But I became very conscious of each time I was going to be taking the next pill. So even an hour or 2 hours before I had that medication, my mind would be thinking, okay, I'm going to get this pill. And the burning is going up, but I'm going to get this pill. So I'd be worrying about it hours before I actually got the pill. And then doing that 4 times a day, it gets fairly time consuming. So even the worrying becomes habit forming, along with the drug itself. And then I went up to 30 milligrams at one point to try and alleviate more of the pain. At that point I was slurring my words and talking like I was drunk, and I really, really hated it. I knew I was slurring my words. I knew my thinking was fuzzy, so I dropped back down to 20 and tolerated the discomfort at that level for years. And eventually I was able to wean myself down to 5 milligrams of Valium, and then eventually down to none. So I don't use Valium at all anymore. But I still have the burning, and I still need medication to help me with it. So what I learned over the years was some other regimen. And what I have, my primary source for pain reduction is I have 3 medications I use. One of them is, it's called gabapentin, and it works on reducing some of the neuropathic pain, the real serious burning in my legs. The other medication, which, and this medication I would say is probably it's my most powerful one in terms of it helps me with 3 different levels of pain, is marijuana. And here in Canada, it's possible to, the government has made it possible for individuals such as myself to apply through physicians to get, I have a license to possess and use medical marijuana, and that's called medical marijuana. And a friend of mine, he has a license to manufacture, to grow the marijuana for my use. And I probably use about an ounce a week of high-grade flower tops. I used to smoke the marijuana, but it got just way too hard on my lungs. Now I use it in cookie form, which is here on this plate on my lap. My friend, he's found a nice recipe. He sort of makes oatmeal cookies using marijuana in the place of some of the oatmeal. And again, I take it when I feel it's going to be most effective for me. And the way the marijuana works for me is in 3 different areas. One, I found that it reduces the actual burning pain, not as effectively or as long as the gabapentin, but it helps to reduce the burning. The second area that it works for me better than any other drug is in spasm management. I get all kinds of spasms in my legs and my fingers if I'm not using some kind of medication to reduce the spasticity, and marijuana has, for me, been by far the most effective drug in terms of, again, reducing, not eliminating the spasms, but getting them down to a level that I can be more comfortable with. And the third area that marijuana has really helped me with is in some of these sweats I get. It doesn't help with the major sweats from a severe bladder infection or if my bowels are going out of turn, but it does help with a lot of other kind of low-grade sweating, which can be quite uncomfortable for me, especially my forehead and neck and clothes that get damp, and it can be really not pleasant. Marijuana helps me with all 3 of those: pain, spasms, and sweating, and it does as good or better a job than almost any other medication I've tried. Third medication I use, and this is the big one that I only use when it's really necessary, and it's Tylenol 3, and that's Tylenol with codeine in it. It's a prescription drug. It's pretty common. It's not uncommon for people to use it daily, but it's a narcotic, unlike gabapentin or medical marijuana. So it's addictive, and it's habit forming, and a body habituates to it, meaning the dosage has to increase on a regular basis if you're using it regularly. I've been on many retreats. Meditation has been one of my other major anchors for dealing with pain and psychological suffering, emotional suffering. There are all kinds of sort of mental, not tricks so much as just perspectives that I can take in dealing with pain management. And yes, pain it's all in my head, but it is in my head. It's not being made up. And when someone says to someone, "Oh, your pain's just in your head," or "their pain's in their head," the person who said that really doesn't know what they're talking about. I think it's a sign of enormous ignorance and basically disrespect to make those kinds of comments. It's dismissing and denying someone else's suffering. And suffering is subjective. No one else can tell me how much it hurts, how much my pain hurts, and no one else can. I can't ever tell someone else how much their pain hurts or make a judgment on how to deal with that.
Well, they say you learn a lesson every day. 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 So put your heart in every day. Put your heart in every day. Everybody. No. Well, they say you learn a lesson every day.